Yeah, instances. So for me, instances are a way to duplicate data uh, with in a memory efficient way. For instance, in Houdini, when you pack an instance, you just reference the same packet of data, and it makes everything much quicker. But here in Rive, I don't know exactly because we have components that kind of do that because it's a pack of data too that can be manipulated by different entries to I don't know. I, I feel like I'm using words I barely understand. But as you see, I do not have a very strong mental model for all of that. But this will probably be interesting because uh, I don't expect anything about instances because I'm not really sure where instances are supposed to intervene inside of Rive. So I will be discovering that, and I will probably be like, okay, now I get it, but or maybe not. Maybe I will never get it like I did the other time. Anyways, let's reopen the project. And yeah, so we have this motto. And let's move back to the tutorial too and find the start of the instance chapter.
Pretty cool. Now, as you know, we have 4 different bikes, and each of them is going to need their own unique stats.
That's great.
So when index num is set to 0, I want to see the black bike, its stats, and then when index num is 1, I want to see that specific bike's stats. How do we do this? Well, we do this using instances. Instances basically allow you to make multiple different versions of viewModel properties and therefore multiple different versions of components. If we highlight the property of stats viewModel, you'll see that it is being controlled by something called instance. Pretty cool. Now, as you know, we have 4 different bikes, and each of them is going to need their own unique stats. So when index...
So I think on YouTube I can cut the first part of the video. So we will just pretend that everything before that did not happen, and I will just cut it. So, okay, so let's... Hello, welcome back to the... Okay. What the hell? Okay, so let's... okay, welcome back to this follow-up of... no, follow-through. Hello, welcome back to this follow-through of Rive's quick start tutorial. Last time we stopped right before entering the instances chapter. I have a notion of what instances are in a 3D software. It's a duplication of objects using the same piece of data, so in a manner that is memory efficient and probably not only RAM efficient, but maybe read and write efficient. That I'm not really sure. For Rive, I'm also not sure where instances play a role, because as we've seen earlier, components tend to have a similar purpose, like they are pack of data that you can... I think even he said that we instance the component on the... What was the letter? It was N? Yes, I think it was N, maybe for instance, I don't know. But to call a component, we did press N, that's for sure. And I wanted to say that to me, components pretty much already feel like instances. So if they are distinct concepts, I'm very curious as why they are and what instances could be in that case. And this is what we'll discover today. Hopefully I will get it, but with Rive, apparently I can't be sure because I've struggled a lot across this tutorial. Remind that we are only at 40 minutes and it's been the subject of numerous lives already. Anyways, so let's dive in and meet instances.
Num is set to 0, I want to see the black bike, its stats. And then when index num is 1, I want to see that specific bike's stats. How do we do this? Well, we do this using instances. Instances basically allow you to make multiple different versions of viewModel properties and therefore multiple different versions of components. If we highlight the property of stats viewModel, you'll see that it is being controlled by something called instance. Now, this instance is the only instance of the stats viewModel that exists. However, we can create more instances of the stats viewModel like this. And each of them can have their own unique property values. So these are the property values of instance 0. These are the property values of instance 1. I'll just make them random.
Okay, so in that particular case, it seems that instances are different sets of different sets of the same type of data, which is not very aligned with the 3D definition, at least to my understanding. So so it did take stat view model, fetch props, design all instances, instance 1, and where was it that he added new instances? All instances, instance 1. Okay, plus maybe. Oh yeah. So now I have 4 instances. Okay, so instance is the default. Maybe I needed only 3. Yeah,
And so
it did 3. So that is like in a lot of other software, you start counting from 0 because 0 is the first number, not 1. So that would mean that we only need 3 instances and that this one, the default one, counts as the 0 instance and therefore is the first we should fill, and it should be the level 1 one. So instance will give us level 2, instance 2 level 3, and the third one would be the 4th. Okay.
so on.
So it just puts random values in there. I should have done the
We
same.
now have 4 different.
Yeah, awesome, like you say. Yeah. Okay, no, not above 100. This is pretty convenient, actually. Ah, okay.
Instances of the stats viewModel that we can now apply to 4 different copies of this stats component. So first we need to go over to our menu viewModel and create 3 more properties of the stats viewModel. Each one is going to be controlled by a different instance. This one I'll call stats viewModel instance 1, this one instance 2, instance 3, and instance 4. So for the first one,
Okay, so this kind of numeration is really confusing
we'll
because
leave it as this first instance.
yeah.
This one, we'll change it to the second instance.
Okay, that's exactly what I just said before, but in that case, I would have chosen an instance number 0, and I will do that. So menu, view model in data, and we duplicate instances. I'm still not very clear as, so it's stats instances. Oh, maybe it's I that called that fetch stats. Instance 0. Oh, it doesn't like dashes. Okay. I won't give and underscores. Property should use camel case. Okay. That's you're not free to do naming as you want. You have to do camel case, which, in case you don't know, is this way of doing a capital letter to have a visual anchor of where the words do begin and end. So fetch props instance 0. So now I can copy that. And paste it and call that one 1. I should have not copied the 0, but okay.
Third.
Okay, so now we have to assign everything. I'm really curious how about how this whole thing does communicate with I don't know, the JavaScript or things on the browser.
And the final one. Now we need to highlight this stats component, open our hierarchy, and we need to duplicate this instance 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Now, as you can see, that goes off of the artboard, but that's fine, because we're only going to show one at a time. But for now, I'm going to apply the correct property to each of our nested components. So for this first
Okay, control. So this is what I need to duplicate, right? No, it's the layout. It would seem.
one, the correct property is going to show one, as you can see, model, each of the stats view model. Each is going to be controlled. We'll leave it as this second instance, this stats 3 times. But now hierarchy, and we need to duplicate this instance 3 times. 1.
So escape allows to climb up, and this one is the one we want to duplicate. What I'm not sure is whether it's already instantiated or not. Okay, it's doing the same thing as for him, so I guess we're good. And now,
2,
what did
3.
he do to link?
Now, as you can see, that goes off of the artboard, but that's fine, because we're only going to show one at a time. But for now, I'm going to apply the correct property to each of our nested components. So for this first one, I'm going to bind it to the property stats view model instance 1, and you can see that reflected in the property value.
Obviously. Okay, so I missed
here.
something.
The next one.
Data bind model. Am I doing data bind? Yes. Model. Is it because of that? Yeah. Yes. Yes, he had that toggled. And when I... Okay, so... But that's not the one I wanted to link. Is it? Level 1. So that didn't change. Oh, if I unclick and reclick, it does change. I'm not sure why, but it's probably a refresh condition, something like that. Yeah, if I just bind, nothing happens. Maybe I shouldn't have the state machine open. Anyways, when I retoggle this bond preview bond values, it works. So that's good. So we only have to bind the last two, and we can go back to following the tutorial.
I'll bind it to the second one. You can see that. The third one.
The fourth one.
And the fourth one is already bound to the fourth. I'm now going to hide these 3 layouts just by clicking up here. And we're now going to animate.
We are going to hide the last 3. No. Oh, it's not the correct things that I... So if you select multiple in the left column and click, it doesn't group.
This property.
It doesn't group toggle, but I don't have the eye. Why don't I have the eye? Oh, because I didn't select the correct thing. I needed to select the layout. And in here, you can do that for multiple items at once.
Of each instance layout. So in your menus state machine, we're going to have 4 different timelines.
Anyways, this eye was probably not at all the same property being hidden. Because if I do that, yeah, the layout is still visible. Oh, and you can tell because it's still occupying its space. But if you hide it, it's okay. It's no longer existing. So the rules of the upper layout block apply, or this one. Anyways, the hug and feel rules, they apply. And that's why it was no big deal to have the things on top of one another. And it's even expected behavior because of those rules. And this one, it's supposed to be a column. Yes, it's a column, and which hugs elements, and those elements have a fixed and those elements have a fixed size. So that's why it was behaving like that, which might have seemed unusual to some of you and was to me, because in After Effects or Illustrator or Photoshop, when you duplicate elements, they duplicate on top of one another instead of being neatly put in a column. Anyways, I think that's enough for this tangent. Let's go back to the tutorial.
Drag the state machine to the top. I'll call this timeline stats instance 1.
Okay, so I will just
4 different
rewind
timeline
a tiny bit.
So in your menus state machine, now going to hide this property of each instance layout. So in your menus state machine, we're going to have 4 different timelines. Drag the state machine to the top. I'll call this timeline stats instance 1. This one 2, 3.
So tab to call the state machine. I'm confused because I already have a lot of timelines in there, but I don't remember what they are. I think they were timelines for the motorcycles. Yeah, but why doesn't he have those timelines anymore?
Use here. The next one, down here, I'll bind it to the second one. This machine, we drag the state machine to the top, timelines. On menus state machine, we're going to have 4 different timelines. Drag the 4 different timelines out. So in your menus state machine, we're going to have...
Maybe my timelines are leftovers of a mistake I made in a previous follow through, where I did timelines here instead of making them over there. Yes, that's probably that. Okay, so
4 different timelines.
He already had a timeline, so I suppose I can keep the first one I have. What? Oh, I did something bad. Yeah, but actually I could probably have kept them. I feel a bit stupid. It's not like it was... Or maybe there is some poison in this timeline that will come back and bite me in the ass, like we say, but let's see. So he moved the state machine over and started to rename
Drag the state machine to the
everything.
top. I'll call this timeline stats instance 1.
Stats instance, so still camel thing. Stats instance. So me, I would go with 0. Take that, paste it here. 1, 2, and 3.
This one 2, 3, and 4. Now in 1, just going to highlight all 4 of these and set keyframes for all 4 of them. Right now, only the first one is visible, and this is exactly what we want for the first timeline. Now in the second timeline, we're going to change this.
Okay, so it's the same manipulation we did for the motorcycle the other time. And I remember that it was pretty much not exactly that we needed. But let's do it anyways.
First time and highlight.
Okay, so this is the thing we need to grab. I really don't like this double arrow thing, but so in this one, we...
all 4 of these and set keyframes for all 4 of them. Right now, only the first one is visible, and this is exactly what we want for the first timeline. Now in the second timeline, We're going to
Okay,
change.
so you need to fill in the keyframes for each timelines, but you cannot batch them, I don't think. No, those are not the correct layouts. I wish there was a keyboard shortcut to add the keyframes. You and you are hidden. No, you are shown and you are hidden. And again, this time we only show the last one. Okay.
Change this and only show the second one. Do the same for 3. And do the same for 4. And now in the state machine, we can get rid of this transition, move entry over here, put stats instance 4 over there, drag 1, 2, and 3 onto the state machine stage and connect them to the any state. And now, just like we did with the background state machine, we are going to set conditions for these 4 transitions.
Okay. It's really the same manipulation as we did for the motorcycles in the components. This is weird. You drag and drop and then it moves. Probably not the intended behavior, but do you have a line snapping? Snapping to what? I want snapping, but okay, so okay. Snapping is something, yes. It's an Illustrator like snapping style. Ah, I don't dislike how you make connections, but it's a bit finicky nonetheless. And now we need to add stuff. Yeah, transitions.
And we're going to say if the index num is 0, then go to the first instance. If it's 1, go to the second, 2, third, and 3.
Okay. I don't know. I feel like it shouldn't be mandatory to fill those transition, because it's pretty obvious that you want each instance to be linked to one of the elements. So this whole manipulation seems a little unnecessary to me, but maybe I'm just add converter equals. Yes, it feels a bit unnecessary to me, but maybe maybe it is. I'm not sure yet. But what I can tell from this tutorial is that there is so much manual input in this software. I think it might be just very, very time consuming to
4.
Rive.
So now, when we press play, we're seeing the first bike and its stats. And if we go to the data panel,
And when we go to the data panel, We don't see nothing. Oh, yes, we do. Only. What? Okay, and what if I want to go to the next one? This is weird. Okay.
And change index num, we'll see a different bike and different.
Oh, okay. So okay, so now, yeah, okay. So what's playing is only the one that is selected. So this is how you select a new timeline. But you have to select that property. Okay. I have no idea why on all property input fields you can use the middle mouse wheel, but not on this one. And one thing I told myself last time when I was getting crazy about not being able to rename stuff is that maybe I should have restarted Rive. So I will do that and check if dive. What dive? There's no dive here. No, dive is not something we do. And see if it fixes this input field. Index name. No, it still doesn't want to use the middle mouse wheel. Let's just check that I'm not making that up. Oh, you can't do that when it's called in here, but maybe I can do it if I access it from the data. Maybe that's the reason. No. Fetch instance. It was in here, maybe? Okay. No, that's not right. This is okay. This is not a big deal. I think it might just be completely normal, and let's move on rather than obsessing over such details.
Stats. And now, just like we did in the background, I'm going to add some animation to the stats component. So let's move to the stats component. And I want to animate the Y position of each of these different elements, so that when the instance changes, we get a nice little animation. Now, if you remember earlier, the way that we set up each of these columns was to fill the width of their parent and to hug their children. However, fill does not let you use absolute positioning. And we're going to need to use absolute positioning in order to animate the position. So let's see what happens when we go from fill to absolute position. Rive has given us a Y position property that measures the distance from this element to the top of its parent layout, up here. As you can see, it still says that we are filling the width of its parent layout. However, that's not actually true. This has just not been updated. And you'll see that if I change the size of the component. That element is not filling the width. So what we need to do instead is change it from fill to fixed, and change it from a fixed pixel amount by clicking here to a fixed percentage amount. And now when we change the size of the component, it resizes as if it is filling the width, but we are now able to animate its position. So now let's do the same for these 4 other elements. Turn on absolute positioning.
I won't lie, it's been a little fast for me. And yeah, okay. So it's back in the components. Let's go to the components. Now, this is at what level was he? Why are they called columns? I think. So it's about selecting the whole characteristic. So this is the right level. So this is fill constrained by parent. So what was the explanation? We can't have something. We can't move. We can't control y position if we are constrained by parent. I think that was the problem
And change
here.
the fit from fill does not let you use absolute. And I want to animate the y position of each of. And I want to animate the background. I'm going to add some animation to the stats component. So let's move to the stats component. And I want to animate the y position of each of these different elements so that when the instance changes, we get a nice little animation. Now, if you remember earlier, the way that we set up each of these columns was to fill the width of their parent and to hug their children. However, fill does not
fill the width of their parents and hug their children.
Not let you use each of these columns was to fill the width of their parent and to hug their children. However, fill
Why does it hug their children's
does not let you use
in height? You mean?
And to hug their children was to fill the width of their parent and to hug their children. However, fill does not let you use absolute positioning. And we're going to need to use absolute positioning in order to animate the position. So let's see what happens when we go from fill to absolute position. Rive has given us a y position property that measures the distance from this element to the top of its parent layout. Up here. As you can see, it still says that we are filling the width of its parent layout. However, that's not actually true. This has
I'm confused because I'm starting to ask myself if this is because I believed that this means fill the width and hug the height, but it make it sounds like it's fill the parents and hug the children, which would make it even more confusing because I thought I understood, but if that's the case, I don't. Fill. No, I think fill. This is annoying, the fact that everybody is unfolded. Do they have some kind of fold semi-hierarchical level? Oh, no. It's not that easy to say. Okay, so if here we are on the parent and here on the children, it makes it really, really. Anyways, let's move on because maybe it will make sense later. Oh, I wasn't using the correct thing to make those tests. So let's do it one more time. So this, yeah, fill. So now this is the one that I should move. Fill. Okay. And if I hug now, like it was previously, I break the thing because hugging is determined by the children's position. Okay, let's move on. I don't think it matters that much for what we're doing here. So the idea was to move our columns on the x-axis. And to do that, we stopped constraining in them by parent. We get their y position, and it says that it's still filling, but that's a lie. So let's test it. Oh, something has changed here. Something has changed. So this is, yeah, this is the. So when you're in absolute positioning, you have those little, how to call that? Those little corners around the layout, indicating that you're now in absolute. So this is a lie, and let's just verify that by, Also, you're not even inside of the layout anymore. That's interesting. It doesn't consider it to be inside. So when we test, we can see that we have the same behavior as he is. But right now, I don't remember what was the next step.
Just not being
So
updated. Parent. As you
here
can
we are
see,
at the
it still
correct
says
spot.
that we are filling the width of its parent layout. However, that's not actually true. This has just
it
not
was
been updated.
moving to
And you'll see that
percentages.
if I change the size of the component. That element is not filling the width. So what we need to do instead is change it from fill to fixed, and change it from a fixed pixel amount by clicking here to a fixed percentage amount. And now when we change the size of the component,
This feels pretty much like being feeling to me, but I don't know. Maybe I'm. Oh, and I cannot have it fixed.
it resizes as if
Let's
it
go
is
back.
by clicking
Let's
here.
rewind.
What we need to do instead is change it from fill to fixed, and change it from a fixed pixel amount by clicking here to a fixed percentage amount.
And voila. Except for the fact that now I have fixed. Okay. My bad. So let's do percentage. Okay, so you're feeling, yeah. So the previous percentage value we used were on the white rectangles, and we are at a much higher level, and we are feeling 100% of the thing. Okay, everything is working perfectly. This is
Now,
awesome.
when we change the size of the component, it resizes as if it is filling the width. But we are now able to
use
animate
Y.
its position.
Awesome.
So now let's do the same for these 4 other elements.
Yes, let's do that. I'm sorry. I'm a little stiff. Yeah. So, not concerned by parents. You are not feeling, you are fixed, and you are pixel values. Yeah. So everybody should have a Y position, which is 0 in the case of the first one because it's at the very top of the layout. 55, and we are moving in regular steps of 65, not 55. Okay, everything is fine.
Turn on absolute positioning and change the fit from fill to a fixed percent. Make sure it's 100. And then finally, this text layout.
Make sure it's 100. I don't think I did that. Yes, I did.
As well. Except for this text layout, I'm not actually going to turn on absolute positioning. All I'm going to do is animate the position of the text layer within. So now we can open up our timeline, and I'll set a keyframe for the Y position of the text layer, and then highlight all 4 columns and set a Y position keyframe for all of them as well. And finally, I'm going to animate the visibility of all of those layers. So if I lift this up,
Y,
and highlight them all, and then tap U to show all existing keyframes, I'm going to go forward to frame 30 and set more position keyframes, and then move back to the beginning again and increase all of these values by the same amount. So hold down Shift to change the pixel amount by 10. 1, 2.
Okay. This is unexpected unless it is going to show us some After Effect like parenting trick, because I would expect not everything to move as a block. Otherwise, it wasn't necessary to put so much keyframes. But if he wants to fan out the components, you can do that by having the same motion applied to everybody and then creating creating links to parent everything with the one on top, each component with the one that is above, and that produces the multiplication of the subsequent layers each time, resulting in the fan effect. So let's see if it's
3,
that.
4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm now going to set all 4 of those columns to hide.
That I don't understand either, because displaying hide or show is a toggle, and
move forward one frame by tapping the period key.
oh, like they appear at.
And now I'll change them back to show.
Okay.
Now we just need to highlight all of the first positional keyframes and go over to the interpolation graph and change it to start off fast and slow down. And this is what that looks like.
Okay.
So they're all moving at the same time. So what we can do now is highlight these and offset them. So hold down Alt or Option and then tap period. I'll do 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, okay.
And do the same for the rest. 1, 2,
It's not
3, 4,
fanning,
5.
it's moving one after the other.
So now
Why
the
not?
animation looks like this. And finally, we need to animate the back.
Okay, so you don't have layer controls. You need to do what you do in After with trimming the borders of the layers by using the display property.
Ground color. So
That's a bit annoying,
highlight your column and go over to the
because that's more key maintenance.
right. And where the background has a fill, we need to go back into design mode. So tap Tab. Here it is down here. And we need to add a feather. Now, we're not actually going to be using. So
Let's do the things before we forgot what was supposed to be done. Wait a sec. He's using timeline 1. Huh. I wonder how you dupe the animation, because I suppose that you can transfer the same keys to the other timelines somehow, but I'm not sure exactly how yet. Anyways, so for all of those, we want position key, a visibility key, another position key at 30, U to see all the keys. Then, so he said comma to move one frame. Okay, it's point. What's the name in English? Full stop. Wow. So you are sure. Yeah, no, let's just do. Let's select display. Can you do something like no? Oops. Let's add another one. Let's move back with comma, and here say hide, and we have to do it for everybody, unless we do it here, which makes it much easier. Okay. And the idea here was to move everybody down by a little bit. I think it was something like 10. I forgot to add the text. So he said that you only need to use that, and we can indeed grab a keyframe that doesn't look like the other ones, but that because it was showing on the what's the name already, on an upper level. Okay, right. Y, and the last one, and then something like that. Okay. How did he grab all positions? Yeah. Okay. Use the cubic handles. and offset. Oops. I don't remember if he showed a keyboard shortcut for that.
Highlight your column and set them. So hold down Alt or Option and then tap period. I'll do 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. Alt. And period. Oh, period. I don't know why this produces this awful sound, but hopefully it's not too annoying. So this is called staggering. And in After Effects, previously you had a lot of plugins to do that. And now it's a native functionality they added, and it's really nice. But as you've seen, it's pretty easy to do nonetheless.
And do the same for the rest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now the animation looks like this. And finally, we need to animate the background color. So highlight your column and go over to the right. And where the background has a fill, we need to go back into design mode. So
Yeah, it's a nice animation. And where the background has a fill, we need to move back to the design mode.
Here it is down here. And we need to add a feather now. We're not actually going to be using the feather effect, so we can turn the amount down to 0. The thing that we are going to be using is the Y position. So we can now go back into our timeline, highlight the component, go down to the bottom, and into its settings, and we can now animate the Y offset.
Oof. What? Okay, I think I missed a part of this thing. So you need to go back to the design. That's what he said. Here and select. What do I need to select? Oh, here. Why was he talking about feather? I don't know.
Using the feather, we highlight your column and go over. So now the animation looks like this. And finally, we need to animate the background color. So highlight your column and go over to the right. And where the background has a fill, we need to go back into design mode. So tap Tab. Here it is.
Oh, it's the column. Okay. So this is the column. Have the background as a fill. Okay. Back to the design tab. Okay.
It is down here. And we need to add a feather now.
Why?
We're not actually going to be using the feather effect, so we can turn the amount down to 0. The thing that we are going to be using is the Y position. So we can now go back into our timeline, highlight the component.
Okay. From what I understand at the moment is that you add feather just to have controls over the Y position. Fill rules have been set to clockwise. Vector feathering requires Rive clockwise fill rule. This fill rule behaves differently on self-intersecting path, which may appear different from your original design. So they feel the need to to warn us that. So I suspect that this is something that is otherwise, at least in other places, called the whiting numbers. It's it's the if you are making your path in one way or in another way, it's not the same thing in how you describe the geometry. For instance, in Photoshop, this will result in if you make a path and it's in this if it's clockwise and you control click to select out of the path, you will select. But if you were to create the path counterclockwise, it would select outwards. So this order has a lot of impact on every vector applications, and they are just warning us that this is the same in here, which makes sense because this is not something you can ignore. And yeah, and in Houdini, it's even weirder because to create a grid or a square, the winding number is 1 or 0, 1, 2, 3 to have a normal polygon, which is pretty unexpected because you would expect a twisted polygon, but no. Anyways, this is a tangent, and I should go back to there and accept because I don't think it will matter in that particular case. So he said we don't need to use feather and amount 12, so we need to be able to use that. Okay. So now we have feather, but he reduced it. You can, maybe you can see it. It's very discrete because of, okay. It's very discrete because the fill value was pretty low already, but here you can see it. So oh, and here we have the clockwise, even, odd, non-zero. We have the winding number things. I will just Control Z because I might have broken something. Remove feather, add feather. Okay, we definitely want the feather. It's weird that the position of the background would live inside of the feather attribute, or rather filter. I don't know exactly how to call that FX, but apparently that's the case. And yeah, we can move the background to
go down to the bottom and into its settings, and we can now animate the Y offset. Set again.
Oh, we need to go back here and select that. Where are you? Okay, we have it. Okay, now we have that. Let's just check quickly if I remove that. Yeah, we have settings, but they are different. And it's reflected over there. So adding that did not make the settings appear. It just added a lot of settings to our animation properties. Okay, so we said key and probably 30 for the other one too, because I don't see why it would be different. We probably also need the same easing. Okay. And maybe I was a little bit too violent with the value. Oh. Actually, no, I don't think I was.
Keyframe there, 30 frames forward, another one, back to the beginning, and I'll set its value at the beginning to +50, just like we did with the others. And then change the interpolation.
It was plus 50? Oh, I did plus 90, so let's align everything. Oh, yeah, but my out key is lower, so obviously it's not right. Okay. I like the fact, I like how they handle interpolation. Uh, it's pretty convenient, I think.
And then we can move over to the menu artboard. And when we press play, it's all animating nicely. If we
This annoys me. Ah, component instance. Yeah, so this is definitely an instance. On which one did I do that? I don't know. Or maybe it was on. Oh, okay. So my question earlier was stupid because since the animation is on the component, it will obviously exist on every instance of said component, which means that we absolutely don't need to repeat the keys because they are all baked in. And to confirm that, let's go to data, I think it was. State. Where are you? Okay, index num. I want to change the index num to 0. Okay, so the animation is nice when you play it, but for some reason, it's really fucked up right now at this position. I'm not sure why, but and two, yeah. Does he have the same
open our
problem?
data panel, Command 3, we can change index num. And every time we change it, the animation plays.
Uh, I'm confused. Is there some clipping? I didn't. Oh, I see. This is probably because of the design. So I suspect that the problem is I moved down the thing in the design panel, then added keyframes in the animate one. And these control the background when you animate, but the value you input in the design section controls it when it's not animated, which would mean that if I select it, oh, I'm not in the correct panel. You, okay, I need feather. Okay, that was indeed my problem. Nice. Now I can be at peace once again.
Awesome. Okay, we're now going to be using the list feature in Rive to set up these 4 different items. Now, the first thing we need to do is go into our item component and data bind its various elements to viewModel properties. So I'm now...
Okay, so since it's already been 1 hour of stream, even tiny bit more, I will call it a day and get back for the list feature on another one. I hope you enjoyed this stream that started off catastrophically, but this is stupid because now it won't make sense if I cut the beginning of the video, but it will also, yeah, it also means that if I cut the end of the video, it will end up very abruptly. So maybe I will be super lazy and no, I will cut the beginning. And okay, so if you watch this and wonder what I'm talking about, I just did a catastrophic start of stream because my audio wasn't set up properly. And this is what I'm rambling about. And yeah, so hopefully it was interesting to see me struggle once again with Rive. Actually, this time I didn't struggle with that all that much, and we discovered pretty interesting stuff, I think. And yeah, at least for me, it was quite pleasant to create this little animation and to have it reflected across several components, thanks to instances. Anyways. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.